Welcome back to CoinQuest, where we uncover hidden treasures in your pocket change. Today, we're diving deep into the history, rarity, and current market value of a coin that millions of people overlook daily, the 1941 Lincoln 1-cent penny coin. You might think it's just another old penny, but hold on tight, because some of these coins can be worth a lot of money today. So stay with us until the end of this video to find out if the 1941 penny in your collection could make you a fortune. Let's begin with a bit of historical background. The 1941 Lincoln penny was minted during a very crucial period in American history. It was the early years of World War II, and although the United States had not yet entered the war, tensions were high and production at the U.S. Mint was in full swing. The Lincoln cent, first introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, had already become an iconic symbol of American coinage. By 1941, it was struck with high precision and in large quantities. But even though hundreds of millions were minted, some of these coins have become extremely valuable, and today we'll explain exactly why. The 1941 penny was struck at three different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If your coin does not have a mint mark just below the date, it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. If it has a small d, it came from Denver. And if you see an S, that means it came from the San Francisco Mint. Each of these mints produced a large number of pennies. In 1941, Philadelphia produced over 887 million, Denver about 128 million, and San Francisco around 92 million. So at first glance, they might not seem rare. But certain variations, errors, and the coin's condition are what truly determine its value. Now let's talk about coin grading. Coin condition plays a major role in value. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, mint-state coin. If you have a 1941 penny that's heavily worn, scratched, or corroded, it may only be worth a few cents. But if you've got one in uncirculated condition with a high grade, that's where the big money comes in. For example, a 1941 Lincoln cent in extremely fine condition may be worth around 50 cents to $1. However, if you have one in mint state 65 red condition where the coin retains its original reddish luster and shows no signs of wear, it could fetch between $5 and $15. That's already a decent return for a single penny, but wait, it gets better. The real value lies in rare error coins. That's right, sometimes mistakes at the mint create coins that are unique, and collectors go wild for them. One of the most valuable types is the doubled die. This is when the coin's design appears slightly doubled, particularly on the date and the letters "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." A 1941 doubled die penny in high grade can be worth hundreds of dollars or more. There are also off-center strike errors, where the image on the coin is misaligned or only partially stamped. These errors vary in value depending on how dramatic the misalignment is, with some fetching over $100 if the date is still visible. Another valuable error is the clipped planchet, where a portion of the coin is missing due to a flaw in the blanking process. These errors are rare but can be very collectible, and now here's where things really heat up. At a recent auction, a 1941 Lincoln penny graded MS-68 red by PCGS, one of the highest grades possible, sold for over $4,000. That's $4,000 for a single 1-cent coin. Imagine finding something like that in your pocket change or old coin jar. It happens more often than you think. So how do you know if your 1941 penny is worth big money? First, examine it carefully under a magnifying glass. Look for sharp details, no scratches, and that original red shine. Then check for any signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or other oddities. If you suspect you've got a special coin, the next step is to get it authenticated and graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, and remember, cleaning your coin can actually reduce its value, so resist the urge to shine it up. Collectors prefer original surfaces, even if the coin looks dirty. Let's wrap it up. While most 1941 Lincoln pennies are common and may only be worth a few cents, certain high-grade or error versions can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. It's all about condition, rarity, and demand. So the next time you're going through your coin collection or just checking your spare change, keep an eye out for a 1941 Lincoln cent. That small copper coin could turn out to be a hidden treasure. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more rare coin discoveries. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable penny in your pocket. Thanks for watching and happy coin hunting! In today's video, we're diving into a very interesting and highly collectible coin, the 1942 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. This is not just any old penny. Some of these coins can be worth way more than their face value, and we're going to tell you exactly why, what to look for, and how much these coins are selling for in today's market. So grab your magnifying glass, and let's get started on discovering the hidden value of the 1942 Lincoln wheat penny. First off, let's talk a bit about the background. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than a symbolic figure. The reverse of the coin featured two wheat stalks, which is why it's often called the wheat penny. This design remained in use until 1958. Now the year 1942 was right in the middle of World War II. Resources were being redirected toward the war effort, and the U.S. Mint was looking at ways to save copper for military use. That's why you'll often hear about the famous 1943 steel penny. But in 1942, the pennies were still being made from a bronze composition, that's about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Even though 1942 pennies were made in huge numbers, not all of them are created equal. So let's take a closer look at the types of 1942 Lincoln cents you might find. There are three main varieties from that year: the Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. The Philadelphia coins do not have a mint mark, while the Denver coins have a small d mint mark under the date, and the San Francisco coins have an S. Here's how many were made at each mint. Philadelphia struck over 657 million pennies. Denver made over 206 million. San Francisco produced over 85 million. Now, since these were made in the hundreds of millions, most regular 1942 pennies that are worn from circulation aren't rare. In fact, a common circulated example is typically worth about 5 to 15 cents. But don't let that discourage you, because certain 1942 Lincoln cents can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars under the right conditions. So what makes some of them so valuable? First, let's talk about condition. If your 1942 penny is in mint state, meaning it looks like it just came from the mint and has no signs of wear, it can be worth quite a bit more. An uncirculated example with beautiful red luster, known as a red Lincoln cent, can be worth between $10 and $50. And if it's graded MS65 or higher by a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC, its value could jump to well over $100. And next, let's talk about errors and varieties. This is where things get really exciting. Some of the rarest and most valuable 1942 pennies have minting errors that collectors love to find. Here are a few examples to watch out for. A double die obverse. This error happens when the die that strikes the coin has a doubled image, especially visible on the date and lettering. A 1942 double die penny in good condition could fetch hundreds of dollars. Off-center strike. If your penny was struck off-center, the value increases depending on how much of the design is still visible. These can sell for anywhere from $50 to over $200 depending on the severity of the error and overall condition. BIE error. This is a small die break between the letters B and E in the word liberty on the obverse. It looks like an extra I and is quite collectible, often selling for $10 to $50. Clipped planchet, a coin with a missing portion due to a fault in the cutting process, is also valuable. These odd-looking coins can bring in $20 to $100 or more. Another factor that plays a huge role in the value of your 1942 penny is the color. Copper coins change color over time. A red penny is the most desirable, followed by red-brown, and then brown. A fully red, high-grade 1942 penny with no spots or damage can demand a premium price at auction. Let's take a quick look at some recent market values. A 1942 no mint mark Lincoln cent graded MS67 red recently sold for over $1,000. A 1942D and MS66 red went for about $150 to $200. A 1942S and MS66 red is sold for around $300, and those are just for regular coins in top condition. Error coins can go for even more depending on the rarity and the demand. So what should you do if you find a 1942 Lincoln penny in your change or in an old coin jar? First, check the mint mark. Then look at the condition. Is it heavily worn or still shiny and red? Next, examine it carefully for any signs of doubling, off-center strikes, or other unusual features. If you think you might have something special, consider having it professionally graded. You never know, that old penny could be a rare treasure hiding in plain sight. To wrap it all up, the 1942 Lincoln cent may seem like just another old penny, but depending on the condition, mint mark, and any rare errors it might have, it can be worth a lot more than 1 cent. Some can even bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars to the right collector. So check your change, dig through your old coin collection, and who knows, maybe you'll be lucky enough to find a valuable 1942 Lincoln wheat penny hiding right under your nose. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on more coin collecting tips and treasure hunting secrets. Drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare penny or if you want us to cover a specific coin next. Until next time, happy collecting! Where we explore the fascinating world of coins, their history, and their hidden value. Today's video is all about a small copper coin with a big story behind it, the 1950 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny. This coin might seem ordinary at first glance, but depending on a few key details, it could be worth far more than just 1 cent. So, sit back and let's dive deep into the 1950 Lincoln penny and find out why collectors are paying serious money for the right version of this coin. The Abraham Lincoln 1-cent coin, commonly known as the Lincoln penny, has been one of the most collected and recognized coins in the United States. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, it was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. Over the years, the Lincoln penny has undergone several changes, but the 1950 version remains one of the most sought-after coins by both novice and expert collectors. Let's talk about the basics first. The 1950 Lincoln penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If your coin has no mint mark just below the date, it was made in Philadelphia. A small d means it was minted in Denver, and an S indicates it came from San Francisco. Each mint produced millions of these coins, but the condition, errors, and rarity determine their true value in today's market. Let's break down the mintage numbers. In 1950, the Philadelphia Mint struck approximately 272 million Lincoln pennies. The Denver Mint produced around 334 million, while the San Francisco Mint made about 118 million. While these numbers may seem high, finding one in excellent condition, especially in uncirculated or proof state, can significantly boost its value. Now let's get into the exciting part: how much can a 1950 penny be worth today? For circulated coins that show some wear, the value might range from 5 cents to 25 cents, depending on condition. But if you come across a 1950 Lincoln penny in mint state, that is, a coin that shows no signs of wear and still shines as it did the day it was minted, then you could be looking at a value anywhere between $5 and even $20, especially for higher grade examples. But here's where it gets even more interesting. If your 1950 penny has a rare error or variation, it could be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One of the most valuable versions is a 1950 penny with a doubled die error. This type of error happens when the die strikes the coin twice slightly off, causing letters or numbers to appear doubled. If you find a 1950 penny with a clear doubling on the date or the letters Liberty and In God We Trust, it could sell for several $100s or more, depending on condition. Another thing to look for is repunched mint marks, especially on 1950D or 1950S pennies. These happen when the mint mark is stamped more than once in slightly different positions. While subtle, collectors prize these small differences, and such coins can be worth up to $100 or more depending on clarity and condition. The condition of the coin matters more than you might think. Collectors use the Sheldon coin grading scale, which ranges from 1 to 70, to determine the grade of a coin. A coin in mint state 65 or higher, also known as gem uncirculated, can be very desirable. In auctions, a 1950 penny graded MS67 read by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC has sold for over $2,000. That's right, a coin that originally cost 1 cent sold for thousands of dollars because of its condition and rarity. And don't forget about the color of the coin. Lincoln pennies are made mostly of copper, and over time, their color can change. Collectors look for 3 main color designations: red, red-brown, and brown. A coin that retains its original red luster is considered the most desirable. A red 1950 penny in mint condition will always fetch more money than one that's brown or has lost its original luster. So, how do you know if you have a valuable 1950 Lincoln penny? Start by checking the date and mint mark. Then inspect the coin under a magnifying glass for any doubling, repunched mint marks, or unusual features. Next, examine the coin's color and overall condition. If you believe you found something rare, it's always a good idea to have it graded by a professional service. To wrap things up, the 1950 Lincoln penny is more than just pocket change. It's a piece of American history that honors one of the greatest presidents of all time, Abraham Lincoln. While millions were minted, only a small number remain in pristine condition, and even fewer have valuable errors that make them worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars today. So the next time you're going through your change or checking an old coin collection, keep an eye out for the 1950 Lincoln penny. You never know, that humble little coin could turn out to be a hidden treasure. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Drop a comment below if you have a 1950 penny or any other coin you're curious about. We'd love to hear your story. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy collecting!